Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Opinion Machine, the show about all things gaming. My name is Killjoy, and today I'm joined by a very special guest, Mr. DonHaize. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you very much. How are you?
I'm very good too, very excited because we're on the cusp of Borderlands 3 being released. But
oh yeah,
today we're going to be talking about Borderlands 2. Now, if you haven't seen our playthrough, head over to DonHaize's channel. You can see we played Borderlands 2 and pretty much the 4 expansions, and we've had a blast playing it. So I thought, why not sit down and have a conversation about it, because I've played it through multiple times. This was your entire first time playing through, so I'm really curious about what you think about it. So let's kick things off. Just give us your overall thoughts of your experience playing this game.
So this was, I say, the first time I've ever played this game. I've never played any of the previous Borderlands series either. So first thing you're introduced with is the comedy value. Literally from minute one,
Yeah.
the opening intro is pretty funny, and also the art style. I genuinely really liked that art style. It wasn't something I was expecting. It completely caught me off guard. But yeah, I just almost instantly fell in love with it. I was so from the gameplay side of things, it took me a little while to get familiar with it because it is so different to a lot of. It's not a traditional first-person shooter. I think it's fair to say, in the sense that it is quite different, quite unique. Obviously, you've got your skills as well, so it's not just get a gun and shoot things. You've got skill trees. You've got let's say all sorts of different abilities you can use and combo them. So yeah, I really did enjoy it. It was a really good first experience for me, and I'm now all on the Borderlands hype train.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that you touched on there, where it's not a typical first-person shooter. I remember when I played the first Borderlands, and I went in and I was like, I've got first-person shooter experience. I know how to play this, and I got downed really quickly, and I was like, wait, I can't just run up to people, I have to. And then you pick up those damage numbers, you figure out that you have health, you have shields, you have there's always different numbers, and you later on the game introduces different effects that are good against certain enemies and not so good against other enemies. And it definitely, getting chucked into that, if you're not prepared for that really does mess you up. And that is something that I can fully relate to, because it wasn't, when I first played the first one, I was like, about the whole thing. So I get where you're coming from with that for sure.
Yeah, I think one of the things they did really well is actually getting a proper looter shooter. I've played a number of looter shooters in the past. I guess you could, compare it to Destiny in the sense that you pick up weapons, but honestly, the looting shooting in this game is second to none. It really is. The fact that there are so many different combinations of weapons in a lot of looter shooters, a lot of modern ones anyway, I tend to get the impression that it's the same guns, but there's just ever so slightly different, or you get little tweaks here and there, just different damage number or just a different stat.
Yeah. In
this game, every gun feels different. I mean, you've got different I'm not really sure what they call them, but different
manufacturers.
Hyperion.
Yeah,
manufacturers, that's it, sorry. There's different manufacturers that actually give guns completely different feel and effects and how they work as a gun.
Yeah. So
you can have basically the same gun, one made by Jacobs, which is like a sort of semi-automatic almost, or a bolt action sniper rifle. And then you go to Hyperion, it's very much completely sci-fi type of feel to it. Getting all about the machine guns, and it's just very different, very very different feel. And I really like that. I must say, it's probably one of the it is the best looter shooter I've played, certainly in a first-person format.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. I've played a very minimal amount of the first Destiny. I haven't really touched many other looter shooters, and honestly, the reason why I think I like Borderlands is because it has a very humorous style. It's not going for realism, and I think that really benefits the game, because I like when you pick up a gun and it just looks so weird and wacky, and then you've got Jacobs, like you say, with their very Western style. Hyperion's very sci-fi, and you've got the bandit guns that got guns and things stuck to them, and each thing's very unique. Whereas when I played Destiny, I was like, yeah, these all look really generic. The enemies feel really generic. It's a very dark kind of game. It doesn't have that kind of vibrant colour. And honestly, for me, when I feel like they get it right, because okay, the game does chuck a lot of loot at you constantly, But you feel like generally you're getting a new weapon, I would say maybe like every 20 minutes that you want to use. So you're constantly like getting these cool guns, and especially if you haven't played the game before and you're learning the different manufacturers, you're like, oh, I really like Vlado, or I really like Jacobs, or I don't like this. And being able to get weapons fairly frequently lets you test them out, find out what you like. And I guess from what we played, you seem to quite like Hyperion weapons, or did you have another favourite?
Yeah, definitely. I really like the Hyperion guns. They felt so good, and like the shotgun, because it. I think the way with Hyperion works, the more you shoot, the faster the fire rate goes.
Yeah.
So having that with a shotgun was just, rather than having to shoot once or shoot twice with, two shells and have to reload, it was just
yeah.
For a shotgun. That it just, it's so satisfying just going up something and just blast them like 8 times. And then just watch them die.
Yeah.
So good, so satisfying. But I think the other thing that was cool is, like I say, the elemental effects. So it wasn't even just the fact that it's just different manufacturers. Each manufacturer could have any of the elemental effects, including explosives. So it's just such a really good combination, and you can literally have so many options. And obviously the cheeky keys were always good fun. I love that shift code kind of interaction and addition to the game. That was so cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be interesting because I don't know. I know shift key codes are going to be in this new game, but I'm kind of going to steer away from that because the only problem with the shift keys is they kind of give you slightly overpowered weapons for your level, and it obviously scales depending on what level you are. And I kind of want to avoid that to start with, just because I kind of like the curve the game generally puts you on, because some of the guns we've got out of that chest were fucking insane, and it was a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong, but like when we come to playing the third one, I kind of want to go in and maybe spend a key if I've got any, but not go too crazy on it. And we had a lot of keys to go through, but for me personally, like I kind of it's a lot of fun, and I get why people were opening it, because he's like, oh yeah, like get these crazy weapons, until you get like 4 or 5 in a row that are like mods and or like shields, and you're just like, no. But we did have a laugh with that. And I mean, some of the guns we got there were insane, and like you were saying about the elemental effects, like there was a part of the gameplay where I was running around with a slag weapon that really like mixed up our gameplay, and that's kind of what was cool. The only thing that we were really missing was like a shock weapon, but like generally through the entire time we had like fire, corrosive, and like slag and explosive, and it's a nice thing about this is like you can have like a fire gun and I might have a corrosive gun, and it kind of works quite well together. And being able to have that option to be like, if you get a Jacob's weapon, generally Jacob's weapons don't have elemental, only on a very select few where they do that, but they're all about like raw damage. So if you like no one's got a shield on and you just snipe them in the head, you're just doing insane crit damage with it, whereas someone else might have a shotgun and they can take the shield down and you can snipe them with it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we picked up I think it was a Jacob sniper rifle, I think on one of the DLCs, and it was a shoot through shields, and it was just so satisfying. Just that pure damage with no shield. I don't have to worry about that ever again.
Yeah, that was.
It just kills them whether they got a shield or not. It's beautiful.
Yeah, that was one of the best things about it. So yeah, so I've got a few things here. We're just going to go through this list, and I'm just going to ask you about it and stuff. So we've obviously touched on guns. Let's go on about skill trees, because obviously, so you were playing the Siren and I was playing the Commando in this one. And I remember when we first started, you weren't overly sure on the Siren, but by the end of the game, you seemed to be having a really good time with that character. So what was your experience playing that character?
So I think a lot of the abilities tend to be focused around healing. And I think that was the kind of bit that I didn't really fully utilize all 3 trees.
Yeah.
I kind of went down the sort of default path, as it were, and it started going down the whole healing tree where you shoot your allies and it heals them. And for me, I was like, well, I don't really want to be a healer. I kind of want to be more of a mage type of play. And I started to unlock these things for phase lock. So phase lock is your initial ability, like your special power, as it were. It basically takes someone out of the fight for a number of seconds. If you've got like a big boss or something, it tends to do damage instead. But it was so useful on so many things. And then as you start to level that particular tree up, it starts to, when you kill someone in phase lock, starts to heal your party. And then it started going down other trees where it started doing weapon damage and weapon reload speed. Obviously, the tokens helped with that as well. So as I was sort of getting more and more into the tree, the skills became a little bit more dynamic. And that's why I really started to enjoy it, where I was starting to do things where the phase lock would last longer, or it would start to draw people in. It was really good. It was so much fun. And towards the end of it, it was kind of feeling like just a DPS dealer.
Yeah.
And just like the typical maids that I love playing in games.
Yeah. It's interesting. I've played all the base characters. I have played a bit of Maya, and I actually I went straight for like the healing thing because I was playing it with a friend of mine, and he was playing Salvador, I think, who we didn't play in this run. But I actually kind of enjoyed playing the healer, and it was because it felt quite different to the standard healer. But yeah, I was playing Axton throughout this, and that was the first time I'd played as the commando and using the turret and stuff. And surprisingly, like, he's got some really good like one-off skills where you can put points into it and like, you know, stick the turret to walls. The turret now has another gun. It now slags. Like, I found his tree, even though he was not my first pick, and to be honest, I don't generally pick the commando class. I actually think he's got some pretty fun and quite funny skills. Like at the bottom of one of his trees, you can chuck it out and it blows up like a nuke and stuff like that. That really kind of gave you a good reason to sort of like. I went down like one tree to start with. Like I'm all about. I pick a tree. I go, that's the most interesting one. I'm going to go specifically that play style. That's how I play. So I was going like, no, I want my turret to have 2 guns on it. I want to have rockets. Like I really kind of tried to power it up so it was this like beast of a thing, and I really had a good time doing that. I didn't think I was going to enjoy him as much as I did, and I think we worked really well together because you did have some healing abilities. I had like a lot of shield and stuff, so I could kind of tank, and you could do a lot more damage. So I think it worked out pretty well. So that was fun, you know, being able to kind of combine both of our skills and stuff together. So. But I think if we ever played it again, I would probably play. I never played the Psycho in this game, and he sounds fun. He's very much like all about meleeing things, and that to me is really, really fun. So
yeah, nice.
But
see, I think if I did it again, I'd probably play Zero, the assassin and sniper.
He's my favourite character. He's so fun.
I was so torn between the two of them. I think when I saw the intro, I was pretty much right. I'm going with the Zero. And then as I started thinking about it more and more, I'm like, oh, Siren's pretty good and sounds pretty good, and I kind of convinced myself that I was going to go down Maya's route, and I am actually glad I did.
Yeah.
Because I had a hell of a lot of fun with her. Once I sort of understood how her abilities worked and how everything got more familiar with the game, I suppose. That's when I started to really enjoy playing Maya.
Yeah.
And yeah, her abilities are cool.
Yeah. She is a lot of fun. Like, it's for sure. Like the improvement on the characters in 2 versus over the first game is awesome. And I think that's why I really enjoy the characters in this game, because it they really like improved on the skill trees and made it a lot of fun. And obviously having like the mods and like the relics, and then your class mod and stuff, like adding extra points into certain skills, so you're like some of your skills become absolutely ridiculous is a lot of fun. So how did you feel? So let's kind of move on to like characters and story. How did you feel about like the main story, like ignoring the DLC? Like, how did you feel like playing through the main game and like the characters that you met along the way?
So the characters were phenomenal, really well voice acted. They were all very, very unique. It wasn't like, oh, go see this person and go do X and go do Y and then come back to the person and go pick up another quest. It was very like engaging.
Yeah.
And you really got to feel for the characters. They all had their own place within Borderlands or Pandora, and it was so good. I mean, the characters and the villains are Handsome Jack. I mean, has there ever been a better villain? I don't think there has been, and it's a big reputation to live up to. You know, it's going to be hard to. It's going to be forever chasing the dragon to get a villain like Handsome Jack. Just the perfect level of humor, sarcasm, but also very dark and twisted. But it's just the perfect, and the voice acting was just on point. I mean, yeah, one of the best villains I think in any game, and across many different sort of platforms as well, whether it's first person or RPG. He nailed it. Also, the actual characters, like, so Scooter was hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, literally died every time I saw him.
I like
Roland
Scooter.
was obviously more down to earth, a little bit more straight laced. Brick was funny as. Marcus was just crazy. Mordecai, I loved it. All the characters were so different. And then obviously Mad Moxie. I mean, what's not to love about Moxie? Hey, sugar.
I mean, I think you're missing Tiny Tina, because seemingly you were obsessed with her.
Well, you mentioned not DLCs, but yeah.
No. She is in the main game.
No, she is. There's a very good little scene where she's we have to bring back some bandits, and she makes tea with them, and just that's the whole tea party. Funny, literally the best character. I mean, I think best villain, Handsome Jack, hands down.
Yeah.
Best character, including Handsome Jack, Tiny Tina. I don't think there was any kind of interaction with Tiny Tina that I didn't laugh
Yeah.
or giggle hysterically.
Yeah.
Incredible. And as for Bunkers and Badasses, or Dungeons and Dragons,
Yeah.
oh my god, OMG, that was so good.
I mean, the writing is just fun. I think that's what makes the game so good, because you say about Scooter, like Scooter for me, like even in the first game, like when I getting to see him and him being this ridiculous, like dirty, like old man, almost like the way he is, he's like obsessed with porn and all this other stuff, and he's just hilarious. And then as the game goes on and you start to get these characters, you get to meet them and see. I mean, I really like Sir Hammerlock. I like the fact he's very British, and the kind of the interactions you have with him. Obviously, a personal favourite for everyone, Claptrap, and like how he...
I didn't even... Yes, of course, Claptrap.
Yeah.
Yes. Everyone's favourite robot, right?
And, the good thing is pretty much all the characters are fairly memorable. And I think that's what I like about it, is like you said, you meet Scooter, he's very like one way. You meet Hammerlock, he's a very different way. And Tina's, you meet her and you find out it's a 13-year-old kid who's clearly got mental issues, and they kind of like, as you go through the game and as things are happening, you kind of see them like develop. And I love that with Handsome Jack. Like at the beginning of the game, he's like real cocky and he's just insulting you constantly, and like he gets one up over you. And as you get closer to like getting to finding out that Angel's a siren and you kill her and stuff, and he just becomes completely different. He's like taunting you a lot more, he's very angry, and you see this like almost change over the game. And I really like that, how he's like super cocky, and by the end of it he's just like, I'm gonna kill you. And I think it works really well, because you get to see and experience that, because he's talking to you the entire game. Like, you get off the train, he's like, yeah, I was gonna like name this horse after you, like Piss for Brains, but I thought that was a bit too much, so I've gone with Butt Stallion instead. And he's just on point every time he comes up and like it starts taunting you about stuff. It's just funny, like the bit where he kills off Bloodwing, and he's like, he gets a violin and he starts playing it, and he's like, oh, it would have been funnier 10 minutes ago, bitch, and like hangs up on you and stuff like that. So I am really excited to see what they do with the characters in the third game, but like in this they all kind of work really well, and especially for someone who played the first game, getting to meet Roland, Lilith, Mordecai and Brick again was really cool. Like the first time, especially Brick, when he's just like, you've just murdered all my dudes, that's awesome, and he's like, you have to hire him and things. So absolutely.
I think you missed a character as well, Mr. Torg.
Yeah, I do like Mr. Torg. He doesn't turn up until the DLC, but Mr. Torg is my personal favourite, mainly because he just shouts, everything's in capital letters, and just like his whole thing is just funny. And like when you see him in like Tiny Tina, one of these NPCs insults Moxie, and he's just like, get after him, how dare he insult a woman, and like it's just his whole character writing style I just find really funny. Like I could understand why some people might find him annoying, but I just like the fact he's all about explosions, and like he's just perfect. Like, and I think that's the thing, is like, all these characters are just a lot of fun. Like that's what makes the game so good. You get to do these quests for them, and their quests are always really fucking ridiculous. Like Mr. Torg's quests are just like, go and blow some stuff up because it's cool, and like I love that kind of what they do with the characters and kind of play that off of them. And yeah, I mean, I'm really curious as to how they're going to progress them and see what happens with a lot of them moving on with the series. So, but how did you find the world of like Pandora? Because obviously you've got different areas that you go and explore in. Like, did you find certain areas more engaging? Did you like the fact that it was quite a mix of different places?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was a huge area. I mean, it took us a long time to game, which is good. I say it was really enjoyable. Every area felt very unique and different.
Yeah.
So you start off in like the icy wastelands, and then you go all over into like greenlands, into sort of deserts, into like just volcano areas. You've got pipes and everything, and then you got all the sort of arenas as well. So just everything throughout the game, there's just always something to engage with, always something to do, or it's a cavern or a dungeon type thing to explore.
Yeah.
There's always something, and the music obviously kept you really entertained throughout the entire thing. The music was so good, so well done.
Yeah.
Every area had its own unique sort of sound and feel to it. So it just made it, a unique experience. Every area, every sort of new zone. I really thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good mix of areas.
Yeah.
And it never felt like, oh no, another zone. It was felt like, oh, what's this next area going to be? What are we in for? What kind of monstrosities are we going to be facing this time?
Yeah. Speaking.
All the enemies changed as well, so it wasn't even fighting the same enemies over and over. It's like, oh great, another human to take out. It was, every area had its own set of unique enemies, whether it's robots or whether it's
Skags.
Skags, wildlife, the bats.
Yeah.
And it was cool. It was cool. Really impressed with my first experience of Borderlands.
Yeah, you've answered my next question. I was going to ask you about the enemies, because that is something that, the more I think about it, you realise there's quite a lot of types. Like you say, you got the robots, the Varkids, the Skags, the Raks, the human bandits, and then like whatever else I've missed, freshers. I think that's most of the types, but I like the fact that they all kind of have their own different, you have to handle them differently. Like bandits, for example, like they're going to have guns generally, or you've got ones running at you that are like suiciding, trying to kill you. But that's really different to how like a fresher would work, where they're like coming out the ground and flinging things and pulling you in, versus like a Varkid that you have to try and kill before they evolve and they get really hard to kill. Like, I like the fact that when you go to a new area and you're introduced to these enemies for the first time or throughout the game, Bullymongs are another one. Like, I like the fact that you do kind of have to deal with them differently. You can't just be like, oh, it's just another like melee dude. It's like, no. Like spider ants, for example, if you just try and shoot a spider ant in the face, it doesn't do any damage. You have to like strafe around them and move about and stuff. And I like the way that the enemies types make you think. Like, you can't stand in the open when there's like 4 gunners shooting at you, because you're just going to get destroyed. So yeah, I think that was a lot of fun, being able to, go through the game and being like, okay, so we're dealing with a bunch of bandits, alright, okay, we have to do it this way. Or like, there might be times where I'm like, oh, I need an SMG, or I need the sniper because it's a certain type of enemy. And I like the fact that that keeps me thinking about what we're doing. I can't just run through an area and be like, I'm just going to use this shotgun, because shotgun isn't always necessarily going to be the best thing to deal with gunners and things, so...
Agreed. And also there was weak points as well,
Yeah.
so every enemy has its own weak point. So, for example, when you're against a robot, you shoot their arms off, and it's just like interactable. So, like, you actually shoot their arms off, and they lose like half of their DPS or damage. You've got humans. If you set them alight, they're gonna burn, man.
Yeah.
Or shoot them in the head. Generally tends to work against humans. Whereas other sort of unit types, like the spider ants or wherever it might be, you need to use like corrosive weapons against them, or you need to use shock weapons. And each different enemy has its own kind of weaknesses, whether it's elemental weaknesses or whether it's like shoot them in a certain position in the body, or shoot the arms off kind of thing. It's kind of always kept you entertained, shall we say.
Yeah. And moving on from there, let's talk a bit about bosses, because bosses, I'm going to be honest, bosses are not Borderlands' strong point. Like, I generally don't think they're not horrendous, but they don't always kind of work. So, I mean, I don't know how many, I'm trying to think how many you fight in the main game, but even in the DLC, like, how did you find, like, the actual boss encounters generally?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think they were that bad, to be honest. But I do get it kind of. I guess some of them felt a little bit lackluster, but it would just be like a big Mollymong. So it'd be exactly the same as a normal Mollymong, just bigger, more damage.
Yeah.
And maybe throw something at you instead. So it wasn't like, I guess, hugely different from the normal things you were fighting, just maybe bigger health bars and a little bit stronger.
Yeah.
I think there were a few, so like you get to take down like a spaceship. That was pretty fun, actually.
Yeah.
So there were some that were...
That's definitely one of the better ones.
And others that were just sort of the same as what you've been fighting the whole way through, just bigger, stronger, badder.
Because
but the badasses, on the other hand, they're pretty fun.
Yeah.
So just like fighting normal enemies, you end up with like badasses or super badasses. Kind of similar kind of thing, but you know they kind of have like you shoot like one of them, you know, they take their head off and then they start raging and
Goliaths, yeah.
So yeah, that was the. I didn't think it was that bad, but it definitely could have been better. I agree with that statement for sure.
It's interesting because if you look at like a lot of the final boss fights, like you fight Handsome Jack, and that one's not terrible. That's all right. You've then got in Pirate Booty, you're fighting a giant worm. In Badass Campaign of Carnage, you're fighting a giant mecha dinosaur. In D&D one, you're fighting a wizard version of Handsome Jack, and then in Big Game Hunt, you're fighting basically a robot and stuff. Like a lot of the final boss fights were probably the best ones, and obviously there were raid bosses as well. But like we couldn't really do those. But
they were just a little bit OP. So I literally one shot us.
Yeah, they were cool, but like I think they're probably the best bosses in the game. But yeah, I've trying to do them solo. You need like the best gear and things like that. But let's talk about the DLC for a minute. Let's talk about the four of them now. There's clearly one that was weaker than the others, but like personally, like I think most of the DLC in this game is actually really fun. I like the fact that it changes it up. It's like, you know, new areas, new characters to me. They all felt very different from one another. But I know that like the D&D one's probably your favourite. But like, what did you think overall of all four of the DLC packs?
They were very unique, very different. Even compared to the original storyline, they all had their own story arcs, their own characters. Some of them brought some characters back, others kind of just went down a completely different sort of route. Then you have different variations of the characters. So like I think that the main one, obviously the Assault and Dragging Tiny Tina's series, like you'd have all the characters kind of had their own versions of them. Yeah. So it wasn't just the same character, it was obviously acted the same, but ultimately they were very different, a little bit unique. I mean, I think it was good that they had completely different areas and completely new zones. I liked Captain Scarlet, so I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
This is also obviously very arena focused. So Hamlock was all right. I found that one the most frustrating of all of them. But then Tiny Tina's was hands down just the best. So funny, enjoyable. It completely added a complete different dimension because you're doing like, rather than fighting robots and sort of a lot of the similar kind of beasts or enemies, it completely changed up. You're fighting trolls and treants and
spiders
and it just felt completely different. Plus the narrator Tiny Tina was on point, shall we say?
Yeah, and it's kind of fun because you're kind of playing out this game and it's very meta like that. We should probably mention Fight for Sanctuary as well. That was a newer DLC that came out, but I'm going to be honest, like Fight for Sanctuary, while I think it's more enjoyable than Big Game Hunt, it's pretty unmemorable. Like I feel like I remember the other four DLCs way more than Fight for Sanctuary, and I don't know why that is, but
I actually forgot about it.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if that's because it was the first one we did, but yeah, no, it did feel kind of uninspired.
Because for me, like Pirate Booty is my favourite one. I don't know what it is about Pirate Booty. I think it's I think it's pretty well put together. I really like Shade. Like Shade is a really creepy character in that. You know, you meet him in the first town, and he's like, "I want to be your friend," and then you realise he basically killed off the entire fucking town, and you're like, "Oh." But I liked the pirate theme. I liked the enemy types in that. It definitely felt very disconnected from the main game for sure. It's kind of weird, but Love that one. Campaign of Carnage, obviously Mr. Torg, a lot of fun, but like you said, it's very arena focused. But that was I kind of enjoyed that as a different pace. Big Game Hunt, there's some fun stuff with Big Game Hunt, but there's a lot of like terrible quests, and it's just like the bit with the boats, and you get these boats that basically just destroy you, and it's like great. So that you said that was the most frustrating one, and then like the D&D one is a lot of fun. It really, I think with the D&D one, because I think that was the last one that they put out, they probably were like, we're going to do something crazy, we're going to do something wacky, and it has some of the best ideas in it, and you also see more character development for the people playing it. You know, how Tiny Tina's dealing with Roland's death, how the other characters are shocked at the things that she's coming out with, and also, you know, all the stuff that's going on. But also, like you said, ultimately it was a very different feeling expansion. You weren't just shooting the same old enemies like knights and spiders and all these other stuff, and it was funny. And it was a very enjoyable. It was a great way, before Fight for Sanctuary came out, it was a great way to finish off the DLC, being like, hey, here's one thing that we've obviously put a lot of love and passion into. And yeah, like I do enjoy all the DLC. There's just clearly ones that I prefer over the others. I'm like, they're more memorable to me and all that. So it's gonna be good seeing in the third one what DLC packs they do, and if they're as crazy as they are in this one. We didn't play PreSequel, but there's actually an expansion in PreSequel where you go inside Claptrap's head, and I was like, I've never played it, but I was thinking you'd probably love it.
Yeah, that sounds like something I like.
Well, you can play as Claptrap in that game, so I would be shocked if you didn't play as him.
Yeah, but you can play as Handsome Jack as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be it. I mean, at some point, I'm sure we'll do PreSequel, and I think that would be a lot of fun. I didn't have the best experience with that game, but I think playing it with someone else would be a lot good. But that's pretty much everything I wanted to go over. So I just kind of get your final thoughts on your experience playing this game. Like, overall, you seem pretty like happy having played it and enjoyed it. I mean, is this something you think you'll come back to at some point?
I probably won't play it again, probably for quite a while. Maybe in like 2 or 3 years. I mean, it was a big series. Like, yeah. I mean, combined, we must have put probably 40 to 50, 60 hours into it, I reckon. Yeah. So it's one of those series that I absolutely had a blast with. You know, for the first time I've ever played Borderlands, and to play this one, I was, you know what, it was awesome. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Yeah. But it's probably one of those series I probably won't come back to for a while, just because of the time investment required. Yeah. And I feel like it's a story that once you've sort of played it all out, unless you sort of wait a couple of years, it kind of won't be the same again. Yeah. Because you kind of know the outcomes. So kudos for you for doing it multiple times. But I mean, in terms of like actual series, what a fantastic series! I thoroughly enjoyed everything about it. I mean, the characters were just phenomenal. All the points you've already touched on. I mean, I can't really reiterate enough. I mean, I had such a fun time playing the game. I definitely think it is a game that you'd enjoy. It's more enjoyable with other people. Yeah. I think as a solo player, I think it can be quite long. If there's someone to play with, I think you can have a right blast with it and really share in the humour. But the humour is the thing that makes this game really stand out, in my opinion. That and the art style. The humour is just down to a T, perfect. I mean, throughout the game you're laughing and just really entertaining. Yeah. Yeah, highly recommend it from my side. I give it a 9 out of 10 as a series.
Nice.
It doesn't get much better, to be honest.
If we could get 4 people together, let's say in a couple of years' time, would you be interested in doing a 4-player playthrough?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's doing another solo run or maybe a co-op potentially. But I think to add a different dynamic, obviously all the enemies get different and tougher when you add more players in. So yeah, I'd be down for that. Obviously doing some of the raid stuff that we never got a chance to do. Yeah, definitely.
I think that'd be fun because like the best thing about these type of games is, with all the Borderlands games is like, even if you do play it again in a few years and say we get 4 people together, you get to experience that probably as a different character. Like for me, it's like so it was fun playing Axton, but like, you know what, I want to play Krieg, I want to be a melee guy, and like you were like, oh, maybe I'll play the sniper this time, and then somebody else can be. And I think that's the best thing about it, is because obviously unless you want to sit and play the game 4 times in a row and play these characters, which you probably don't want to do, like being able to play it with different people and mixing it up is definitely worth it. So, but I'm pretty much the same as you when it comes to this game. I think it is a fantastic game. I've played it 4 times now, like not necessarily completing it 4 times, but I've played as most of the characters, and you know, I love coming back to it. It's just a fun game to run around in and shoot, and I always have a different experience because I've played all the characters at this point, except for Krieg. And I mean, I look forward to us doing the 3rd one, and then at some point hopefully doing pre-sequel, because I think that'll be a lot of fun as well. But like, it's nice now that you've played the 2nd one before the 3rd one's coming out. It's going to be really fun because you've got a better idea now, and I think we're both going to go in probably with fairly high expectations just in terms of gameplay. And I think that's what I'm really excited about, is both picking like brand new characters, both having a fun time and laughing at a game that neither of us have played.
Yeah, definitely. I think you're right on the fact that there's different characters to play, so that kind of makes it more replayable for sure. But definitely there's other Borderlands type games that we could play as well. So like Borderlands pre-sequel.
Yeah.
Obviously Borderlands the 1st one, I'd probably give that a go at some point in the future.
Yeah.
And then once all's been said and done, maybe look at doing another Borderlands 2 with a different character and more people. So yeah, definitely the replay value's there. For me, a big series like that, I probably want time to rewind and unwind, I should say, and
yeah,
do something different. But yeah, definitely a game you'd come back to for sure.
Definitely. Alright, I think that's pretty much covered everything I want to talk about. Obviously, we're pretty much giving it glowing reviews. If you've never played the 2nd game, like, I would highly recommend it. It's fucking fantastic. But that's probably going to do it for us today. Thank you very much for listening, watching, whatever you're doing. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook. I will have a link to DonHaize's channel. Go and watch our gameplay of it, because it is funny. I get to see him get run over and lose my shit. That was one of my favourite entire moments of the playthrough, but we just had a blast with it, and I think that really shows through when we're playing it. But yeah, thank you very much for watching as always, and I'll see you next video.
Peace.